My brain is an expert at finding ways to turn me off. There as the heat kicks in. It's really, really good at that. I'm playing with this way of looking at things, which is not new. It's not a new way. It's been around for quite a long time. And I've experimented with versions of it before. But seeing that, first of all, our natural state is bliss. Life is bliss. It is in fact suffering that is the illusion, and bliss, which is the reality. This has always been true. It's been known to be true. But that bliss is so intense. There's so much energy there. There's so much sensation. It's highly sensational, right? That the body has to adapt, acclimate to be able to really fully experience it continuously, in the continuous flow of it, which is what it's intended to be. We are intended to be in a continuous state of bliss, which is turned on in every meaning of that phrase, which is lit up, connected, tuned in, tapped in, which is feeling good, relaxed, and flowing. When you're in with the flow, you are in bliss, which can feel like ease and contentment. It doesn't have to be this great extreme sensation, but it is positive. It's pleasure. It's pleasure. It's the state of allowing pleasure to flow through you continuously. And so the mind I'm not here to try to figure out why or where this started, but masculine energy, the mind, rejected this, felt ashamed of this, ashamed of its pleasure, which would be the pleasure of the feminine part of itself, felt unworthy, felt undeserving, started to find ways to turn off. To turn off the spigot, which it can't actually do, so it just gets turned around in it and pushes against it. It creates resistance to the natural flow, which is bliss. And my mind is really good at this now. Many of our minds are. And they're all a little different, a little unique. Perhaps the mind of one, the masculine energy of one, is willing to allow the experience of heightened pleasure and pleasurable sensation under specific circumstances in certain arenas. For example, maybe the experience of great financial success, of really flourishing in a career or a business, or just receiving lots of money. Maybe the pleasure of that is deemed allowable by the mind of one, but the pleasure of experiencing genuine loving connection is not. And so there's this sort of skew where we have allowed ourselves extreme pleasure. A great level of havingness is one word for it that's used in existential kink. It's tolerance for intensely pleasurable sensation in one arena, but in another it's severely capped. We're limiting it tremendously. And it can skew that way across the board in all kinds of things. Maybe we have a little more tolerance here for allowing the pleasure of enjoyment of the body. But again, maybe it's only in certain categories. Maybe we really enjoy the movement of body, but when it comes to receiving perhaps sexual pleasure, something like that, we have this lower limit where we start to turn ourselves off. We like being in the body, we like moving in it, maybe we like doing physical things in it, but when it comes to the physicality and the shared experience of sexuality, that pleasure gets turned off. And how does it get turned off? Thoughts. Thoughts start happening. Thoughts that interject themselves into the natural stream of the pleasurable experience, which would be 24/7 all the time. We would and could and can just feel really good all the time, except we're stopping ourselves from doing so. Thoughts jump in with the sole intent of interrupting your pleasure, of distracting you from the natural bliss that is occurring, looking for an excuse to try to convince you to stop feeling so good, essentially, because that's all they can do. They can't stop you feeling good directly, because that's what you are. That is your stream, that is your flow, it's pleasure. They can only convince you to get crossways of it by saying, look over here, essentially. Hey, look over here, this other direction, and now because you're not focused in the same direction as the bliss of your experience, you've turned in it, now you're feeling this resistance. So they're gonna do everything they can to convince you, you need to look over here. Why would you look away from bliss? They gotta get creative. They gotta get real creative and tricky and clever, and they do. Those thought forms are very, very clever. They will find a way, they'll try all kinds of things, throw out this, that, and whatever, and see what gets a reaction. Even if it's just a tiny one. They'll pepper you with it. And they'll find something that gets you to lose eye contact, to lose focus, because that's what I'm learning about focus too, is it's not something that takes effort. It's not this intense laser focus, I gotta focus, don't let me look at anything because I'm focusing. That's not how focus works. Focus is just where your gaze is cast. Wherever your eyes are looking, they're focusing. Do you have to try to see in front of you? No, it's just where your eyes are focusing. And yes, you can kind of unfocus them, right? Maybe you're not looking at something specific, but you'll find 99% of the time there's something in your view, even if you're not trying, you're not really paying attention, there's something that your eyes are focused on in the center of your vision. Even if you're kind of unfocusing them, you're still seeing right here. You're still seeing in front of you. You don't have to try to do that. So it's not about keeping the focus in a way that is efforting. It's about allowing the focus that is already naturally there to stay there. It's just sometimes it's like, again, these thoughts are like dropping firecrackers. They're tapping you on the shoulder. They're trying everything they can to hook you, to get you to turn and look. Because once you turn and look at them and your focus is directed upon them by your turning to look, now you've lost focus on where you were going, which was forward in the stream of pleasure. So it's, the way I'm perceiving it, more about becoming aware aware. We're not blocking out these distractions. We're becoming aware. We're acknowledging them. We're maybe even sort of looking at them in the peripheral. We're letting them be a part of the periphery of experience. We're not blinders blocking them out, because that's too much trying. If I'm going like this, I'm actually going like this. You know, what I'm trying not to see, what I am resisting looking at, I'm actually giving attention because I'm resisting it. So it's not about resisting, receiving the thought, the sensation of anxiety, of guilt, of doubt, worry, resentment, whatever flavor of fear it's injecting. It's about taking the blinders down altogether and letting all of that be a part of the view. And we're including it. And because we're including it and allowing and acknowledging that this stuff is there, that these other thoughts, these other feelings are kind of poking around, we don't feel the same compulsion to turn and look at them because we're not pushing so hard against them. It is that softening, it's including them in the stream. We're still forward facing. We're still aligned with the bliss of this moment. We're just including all of this in it. This can all be a part of my now and my pleasure, and none of it is stopping my pleasure. It's all allowed to be here. And so I've been looking at things that way, and it was very powerful the other night. It was super effective for me. But something that I have noticed is that the more pleasure that I allow in my experience, and deliberately, the more tactics are tried to get my attention to shift. And there'll be a period where I'm successfully applying this. I'm relaxed, I'm flowing in the stream. I have a diffused focus that is allowing all of this to be integrated. Thoughts come up, things try to hook me and get my attention, and I acknowledge them, but I don't attend to them. And that works really well for a day or so. And then there's this uprising. Then there's this wave. Then something successfully distracts me. It's like there's just a barrage. And I do feel like once a single thought is able to really distract me, it's like finding a chink in the armor a little bit. And I'm not trying to be armored against it. I'm trying not to resist it. But I am endeavoring to just notice to the point that these thoughts no longer are able to hook me. I do believe that's sort of the intent. But one of them finds a way in. It finds a hole. It finds a way to get a substantial reaction out of me, which means it finds a way to convince me to take it seriously. Oh, this one I gotta look at. This one, oh, I gotta look at that. I gotta examine that. Something that just took my breath away. Gut punch, this thought. Whatever it is, whatever, I don't even remember what it was yesterday that successfully kind of knocked the wind out of me, right? But once something gets in, now it's much easier because it has your attention. Now it's much easier for that to just snowball, for all of these other things to hop on board, pile on there, and just negative momentum builds very quickly. and it feeds itself. So, I'm just noticing how much positive sensation, how much pleasure my mind is actually willing to tolerate in a given period, because it has a period of it, certainly. Please don't do that. Oh well. It reaches a cutoff point, and all along the way, it's sort of trying. Okay, thank you. I don't want to be disemboweled. Ow. Yeah, that does in fact hurt. Can we stop, please? All along the way, it's tossing things out. My mind is very good at policing pleasure in me, in various forms. It has a general cap, a threshold of that sensation of positive emotion, positive physical sensation, all of it, that it gets very afraid when I exceed. Which I am doing repeatedly, because I intend to experience continuous bliss, because that is my birthright. So I am teaching the mind to relax. I am not giving it power the way that I have, because it's one thing, and the mind likes very much, when you retreat from sensation. That feels safe. If I just retreat from strong sensation, it may tolerate this sort of even uninteresting level of contentment, right? Continuous contentment. And that sounds pretty good, right? That's not a bad thing. Continuous contentment and peace. Yeah, sounds nice. It gets boring. It gets boring. We're not here to feel nothing. We're here to feel, and feel the full spectrum of experience. I am here. I enjoy feeling intensely. I enjoy the experience of intense sensation, of high sensation. Energy flowing through me. That's more energy. When it's this even, quiet, not too much this way, not too much that way, that's just the little baby flow. We're in the flow, but we're allowing just this tiny little stream to trickle through. And so the mind ego is pretty okay with that. It doesn't really fight that, because it's not very much of anything. It's not very much of anything. Again, it's that sort of, if nothing is happening, then I feel safe because I know nothing happens. Ego is fully on board with that. Fully on board with not rocking the boat, not feeling all that much, one way or the other, which is this total detachment from anything. I just don't care. I don't care. I don't care what happens to me. I'm not trying to create. I'm not trying to receive. I'm letting it all be. And I'm just oming on this cloud, and nothing is happening, and I really don't feel very much, but I have peace, Oh. Boring, uninteresting, not what I'm here to do. Not what I'm here to do. I did that. And ego felt very safe there. Ego loved that space of just Allie is so calm all the time. Oh, unshakable because she never fucking feels anything. You can't get a response one way or the other out of her because she doesn't care. Nothing matters. Coasting through life is not what I'm here to do. Relaxing? Yes. Being carried? Absolutely. Floating, flowing, all of those things. But I want to feel my power. I want to feel the fullness of my being, of my energy flowing through me. I want to have my own hands in my own clay. I have the life power that creates worlds within me. I'm not going to just sit on that or allow just this tiny trickle through. I want the full fucking stream of that to come through, and I want to feel it. I am here to ride this ride. Not the little baby coaster that just goes up and down and it's real gentle and smooth and nothing really happens. I'm here for some twists and turns. I'm here to go upside down and loop-de-loop. To experience all of it. Wild, intense sensation. That's what I'm here for. And I know the soul is here for that, thriving in that, enjoying all of it in a continuous state of bliss, even in the experience of other states of emotion, even in the experience of grief. Your grief can be exquisite and actually blissful. Your anger can be joyful. All of these things. And I know that my anxiety, my experience of anxiety, because I'm not going to personalize it, I'm not going to call it my anxiety, it's just anxiety. It's just the anxiety. It's just a band of energy. It's not mine. It doesn't belong to me the way that electricity doesn't belong to me, even though it's flowing through the house that I'm in. It's not my electricity. It's just electricity. It's just energy. It's just what's happening, what's flowing through this house in a given moment, in a particular quality. And I can enjoy that experience. I can integrate that experience into my pleasure. I know I can. I've done it more than once. More than once. I know I can turn it straight into pure arousal because that's all it is. Anxiousness is fear. Is what is it? Fear is excitement without the breath. Something like that. It's the same thing. It is the same sensation. Anxiety is so close to giddiness. It even affects, if you feel it in your body, you feel it in the same places. It's so close. It is just a shade off. It's just a matter of flipping that switch from resisting it to leaning into it, approving of it. That's turning on. I gotta sneeze. That was a good one. Thank you. And I know I can do that. And I know I'm getting better at doing that. So I'm also aware that it's silly and pointless and just another mechanism of the mind to create an excuse to feel bad, to beat myself up over, oh, I got distracted. Oh, I followed a thought. I let one of those thoughts sneak in and trick me and convince me to take it seriously and follow it down this rabbit hole on this wild goose chase into anxiety, into panic and fear and doubt and whatever. Okay. You got me. Good one. Good one. Ego? It's okay. It's just more of the taking it serious to feel bad about that, to beat myself up for that. I don't need to do that. I'm getting off that train more quickly, more frequently. Yes, I still find myself on the train. I'm not going to give myself lashings for ending up on it again. It happens. And that is A-okay. It's just so interesting to witness, and I'm going to become an expert in noticing when I turn myself off, what the situation is, and what kinds of thoughts have arisen to accomplish that. And I know that I can be turned on and feeling turned off. I have a bigger power. There's a bigger power here. I'm never actually turned off. I'm always on. It's just the illusion of offness. And by my full, wholehearted support of that sensation, I'm actually on in being off. I can do that. I know it. I know I'm capable of that. And I know even when I don't succeed at that, that's okay too. That's okay too. It's all allowed. Nothing has gone wrong here. Everything is going right and more righter all of the time. It only ever does, truly. No matter what, it's always just getting better. I'm here to do stuff. I'm here to experience stuff, feel stuff, create stuff, big stuff, not little puny paltry, itty bitty baby things. I'm here to move some fucking energy. That's what I'm here to do. Which means I'm gonna feel it moving through me. And that is my desire. And I know, because it's my desire, that it's fulfilled. I couldn't have that desire. Not just if it wasn't possible, if it didn't already happen. That's how I perceive desire. It's not just, well, I couldn't dream this dream if it weren't possible for it to be fulfilled. No, I wouldn't dream this dream if that weren't my soul signaling to me, hey, look at what you already have. Look at what you got. Look at what you created and received. That's why I desire this, because I did it already, because it's done, because I have successfully accomplished my desired mindset and experience, which allows an unlimited amount of sensation and energy to flow through me. That's my desire. That's what I've created. That's what I've received. My receiving it is why I desire it. It's a receipt. My desire is the proof of transaction within myself. Done, deal, signed, sealed, delivered. So here's another thing. I don't have to wait to feel good about that. I don't have to wait for the mindset to shift to start living in this space of it's already done. I don't have to wait for the physical manifestation to enjoy it. That's a big part of this. I don't have to wait for the total unification of my energy and complete alignment of myself to start living in the reality where that's already been accomplished. To start feeling into the space of, hell yeah, I'm so grateful for this. Look at what I did. I don't have to wait for it to happen to feel good about it, for the good feeling of it to be mine. That's just another excuse keeping me from feeling good. What am I waiting to feel good about because it hasn't physically taken place? I don't need that thing to physically take place to feel good about it. Let me divorce those concepts altogether. I do not require the physical manifestation of a thing to enjoy that thing, to feel good about receiving that thing, because I know it's done. I didn't wait for my lover, for my counterpart to be in my physical hands to start living my life and enjoying, because I realized what I wanted was the experience of living life with that, with my partner. And that I had the choice to just start living that way now. That I didn't have to wait for that person in person form to show up in my physical experience in order to enjoy that life. And I played with that for a year, but I got really into it, really more into it, and open to it, and relaxed about it in the 2 weeks before things transitioned. Now, I had already met this person a year in advance, immediately after asking for them, as it happens. About 2 weeks, 2 weeks to maybe a month, I'm not sure quite on the timetable. After I, with intense longing, put that request into the universe, she showed up. And from there, it was a progression, because guess what? We both wanted a progression. We knew immediately that we had a deep soul connection. I knew immediately that I just loved her. I just loved her. I saw her face and that was it. I fucking love you. I love everything that you are. I didn't need to know anything about her. It wasn't anything about her that I loved. I loved her. And I do. Continuously. Because it's just there. It's natural. It's inspired. It is a part of me. It's bottomless. It's infinite. And it is wholly unconditional. And that sprang forth. But a nuanced part of our desire was to have a courtship. Was to get to know each other. We already loved each other, but we wanted this period where we explored and experienced and everything unfolded in a really fantastical way. That was a part of the desire. And then, a year or so into that, all the while experiencing other things, all the while wanting this divine connection, realizing more and more, having it slowly be put together in my brain that this is it. This is it. And I realized it again and again and just blocked it off. Again, for various reasons. But then finally I got really real about my desire. Wanting a partner, wanting a family. And I let myself receive that vision and experience that bliss. And I realized it was done. It's done. This happens. In fact, it's already happened. It's promised. And I let go of the timetable for that. I let go of the when and just trusted, knowing I couldn't receive this, I couldn't want this much if it weren't really fucking close to me. I couldn't want this so intensely and in so much detail if it weren't right there. So I am letting go of what right there means, and I know that it's soon. I know that it's soon, and I'm not putting a label on that. I'm not giving it a date. I'm not soon. And I did, in fact, give it a date, which is funny, because I was taking this manifestation course, except I was working on a different manifestation. This was included. And I admitted that I was working on mindset, but in getting really honest about my desire, it was, look, this is my number one desire. This is my desire, counterpart, for this to take place, for this to unfold, for this to pop into my experience. I was trying to kind of put it on the back burner to let it go, and I couldn't do that because you can't squish your desires. And the one that is the biggest and the closest and the most ready for you is gonna rise to the top. And that was it right there. And you know what? The date I put for it in those notes was 1 month from starting that course. And I changed it a little bit because I missed a couple of days in the beginning. So initially it was November 8th. By November 8th, this happens. And then I came back to it a few days later and was going, ooh, I don't know. Let me push that out a little bit. So I made it November 11th. And you know what happened on November 12th? That conversation, that changed everything. That's what happened. I'm just saying. I know this works. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent. I mean, what path was I even on? Everything is a tangent. This is all just a ramble of expression. It's just a stream of consciousness, whatever is coming through. I know how this works. I know how to manifest. I know I get a handle on this in a really powerful way. And a big part of that is just letting myself be in this stream of pleasure and reception. And I know that that takes place because I wouldn't want it if it didn't come true. Wouldn't want it if it weren't already true, actually. So, I can start living that life now, letting go of the timetable. That really opens things up. I don't need this to happen. I don't need my mindset to completely shift in order to experience the joy of dreaming into the space of life where it has shifted. I don't need it to shift to start living my life post-shift. I can live that right now. That is key. Experiencing your life after the manifestation that you're asking for. That's where you want to hang out. You want to live right there. You want to make it present. You want to be living there now. This is not some future dream. You're not living in the future. You're living right now. You're living the experience of having received your desire right now. Right now. Because you don't have to wait. That's just an excuse to keep yourself from feeling good. Why are we waiting to feel good? We don't need to do that. No more waiting, no more putting off good feeling. Feel good right now. Anyway. It's gonna keep shifting. It's gonna keep changing. Gotta lose balance to practice gaining balance. That's a big part of this. That's a desire. I have the desire to lose balance. I can acknowledge that. I have the desire to get lost, to lose my footing, my stability, to feel myself slipping, so that I grant myself the gift of the experience of regaining that footing, falling back into the flow, finding balance again, and knowing again and again, not just that it's possible, but that it happens each and every time. Every time I lose balance, I find it again. I'm training myself to understand that that always takes place, so that maybe I can just have fun in the loss of balance. Go, oh, well, this is what is now. This too shall pass. I will be back in balance. I will have balance restored very soon. So while imbalance is here, I might as well enjoy it. I'll be back in balance before I know it, so I'm going to have fun and play with out of balance, because that's novel, that's unique and new and interesting. I'll just play with this. This is the weather right now. It's going to change. Right now there's snow on the ground. Pretty soon there won't be. It's all going to melt and it'll be sunny. So I'm going to play with the snow while it's here. While it's here. Slippery and wet and confusing, I'm going to play with that. Perfect. Perfect. So it is. We're just playing. We're just exploring. What an adventure. Thanks for riding this ride with me. Have a beautiful, blessed day.